Fly with me, money talk legacy, turn a dream to a deed. Welcome to Fly, financial minds, young hustle in their eyes. Stack it up smart, let your future rise. To Fly, upwards, where the young money wise, where the young money wise. FLYE, fly with me.
Hi guys, it's Reagan Portis, the host of the FLYE Podcast, where we like to tell teens about the many different career and business opportunities that you didn't know that could make money. Today's guest has helped more than 16,000 newborns and even turned her nursing skills into a full business. And most teens don't even know this career exists. I'm going to let her introduce herself, but please welcome to the stage Rachel Ramsey.
Reagan, thank you so much for having me today. I'm super, super honored to be on your podcast, and I love your intro song. I had to dance.
Thank you.
So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I have been a nurse this year for 21 years. And ever since I graduated from college and since I've become a nurse, I have always worked with moms and newborn babies. My entire career, I actually worked in labor and delivery and helped deliver babies for a year. And then after that, I realized that new moms needed a lot of help with their newborns. And so I've been doing that now for 20 years. And I know that when a mom has a baby, they need a lot of help, a lot of support, especially from other women. And so that's kind of the background of why I started my business, and we can kind of dive into that. But again, I've been a neonatal newborn nurse this year for 21 years.
So, for teens that haven't heard of this type of job, what do newborn nurses do?
Yeah. So I had honestly never even heard of my job. I know that when I was a little girl, I do remember going, like if I'd go to a doctor's appointment with my mom, we would always like stop by the hospital nursery and we'd look in the nursery windows, and I loved like looking at the babies. I do remember that, but I didn't realize this was an actual career. So when I went into nursing school, again, I knew I wanted to work with moms and babies. And I actually worked, like I said, in the hospital with moms and babies for many, many years. And then I don't know if you guys know this or not, but when you're a new mom and when you have a baby in the hospital, when you leave the hospital, the nurse will walk the mom kind of out of the hospital to their car with their new baby and tell them bye and good luck and all that. Well, I did that for many, many years as a hospital nurse. And I realized as I was taking moms to their car, a lot of them, especially first time moms, just looked really anxious. Some of them were crying, and they would say like, can you please come home with me? I need more help. Like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to take care of babies. So this thought was in my heart for many years. And I thought, you know what? I need to start a business or a service where we have nurses that go into these people's homes and help them with their newborn at home. And so that's kind of how the idea started.
Wow. I'm sorry. My dogs, I don't know. Every time I try to do a podcast, it's like they literally go crazy. So please excuse me for that.
That's okay.
What does a normal day look like when you're helping a new baby and their parents?
Yeah. So what I typically do if I am going to a home to help a mom with her baby, I will show up, and this might sound silly, but I'll just kind of give you the details. I'll show up, I'll take my shoes off. I don't like to walk through their house with my shoes on. I will immediately go wash my hands. And then typically they'll hand me the baby, and I'll just kind of take over from there. A lot of these moms need help. They might ask me to show them how to do a baby bath or how to do a feeding or how to change a diaper. And sometimes the mom just needs me to hold the baby while they go like get a shower or get a bath or even take a nap. And so I basically just help this mom kind of around the house and teach her things about her newborn that she may not know or may have questions about.
I just want to know, how important do you think it is for new parents or just any parent having a newborn? How important do you think it is for them to have a nurse with them?
I think it's very helpful and very important. A lot of new moms, their husbands um, may try to help, and they can help, but there's something about I think a woman and someone who has experience. Like again, as you know, like you said, I've taken care of 16,000 newborns, so I know what's normal, what's not normal, exactly how to educate that mom. So I have seen over the many years of doing this that new moms without help are a little bit anxious. And then when we do help and they have a nurse and they're like, oh, the nurse is here, they can relax and it feels like they can actually enjoy their newborn a little bit better and not be so stressed out having that help literally right by their side. I had a mom recently, she had twins, and I was helping her and we were in the kitchen and she got on the phone to call her husband and she's like, the nurse is here. She was just so excited that there was a nurse in her house, to help.
I would definitely love to have that when I have kids because I'm already knowing I'm not going to be able to handle that by myself.
Right.
But what would you say is the hardest part of your job? Because kids cannot be easy.
Right. Well, believe it or not, so with my business, I started it out with just like me, and I had another one or two nurses that worked with me in the hospital, and it was just like three of us and one mom. Well, that's grown now to I own a business, and we now have 20 something to 30 something nurses at a time. And like today, I have like 15 families. So, what's hard for me is I've had to learn how to manage all of that, how to manage all the moving parts, how to manage the business. So for me, that's the hardest thing. It isn't quite the babies because I have that down. I've been doing that for 20 years. It's really the management piece and the business piece, which I have had no idea how to do any of this. I've honestly had to learn it on the fly. So that's the most challenging piece for me is managing all the parts.
Just switching gears from nursing, I would love to hear more about your doula work because I know a lot of teens don't know what a doula is. So could you explain it to us in simple terms?
Yeah. I had never heard the term doula at all until I started my business. And then once I started my business, and then I realized that this is a thing that a lot of people do in home. We are nurses, like I said, but you can do the same job without a nursing degree. You can be a doula. And what doulas are is they don't have a college degree, but they do have a certification class that they take. And the word doula actually means to mother the mother. So we are mothering and helping that mom. There's a lot of different kinds of doulas. There are labor doulas who help the mom in labor and help her breathe and help her stretch and bend and all that. There is a postpartum doula, which is what I am, and that means just after the birth. So we help that mom and support her after the baby's born. Um, I didn't need to get a doula certification because I have all these years of experience, but I love learning and I always want to better myself and wanted to get that certification. So that's why I went back and got certified as a doula.
What would you tell husbands that really don't think that's important? Because I think that's a big thing in a lot of cultures that they don't feel like, oh, I think that the women don't need all this help. You should be able to do it on your own. What would you tell somebody to make them or to convince them to get a doula?
Yeah, that is a tough question because a lot of it's so funny when we have a family sign on with us, and they're like, we want to do the night nursing care, we need your support. A lot of parents will look at me kind of like, what is this? Like, what are we doing? And they have no idea what any of it means. Well, what's funny is then when the baby comes home and we do start doing nights with them, the dad calls us wanting us to come back more and more because it's help. He realizes how helpful it is, like he's like, oh crap, this is an important thing. So it's super important um, for, I think, women to have women surrounding them during and after delivery. There's just something about having a woman by your side.
Yes, definitely. And a lot of people don't have like moms that'll come. Some mothers are sick and they can't come and help their daughters through their pregnancy. So I think that that's having somebody at home that's certified and taking care of children, and knowing exactly what they're doing is definitely important in raising children because it does take a village.
It does
But
take a village.
why did you decide to become a doula in addition to being a nurse?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I love learning, and I've always loved learning as much as I can. I always love to take classes. And so I really wanted to dive into learning more about the in-home care because I'd never done that before. When I started my business, I was just like, oh, let's try this. Well, I took the certification as a postpartum doula to take classes to learn how to be a better in-home support for our moms and our families.
I'm gonna switch gears into the business side
Oh yeah,
because
I love talking business.
so what made you think, or what happened to where you said, I want to turn this into my own business?
Yeah. So like I said, the idea, so let me start with this too. Any business in the world always starts with an idea and most importantly, a need. You have to see a need and you need to fill that need no matter what it is. If you're making hamburgers at McDonald's, the need is that person's hungry and wants a hamburger. So, like I said, as I was walking these moms out of the hospital to their car, and they're crying on me, and they're like, "Come home with me." I saw a need. I thought these moms need help at home. So that was the beginning and the idea. And then, like I said, I had a few nurses that worked with me that came on board to help me out. We started with one family. And I thought, you know what, I could turn this into a business, an actual business. So let me stop and back up. My initial plan wasn't to start a business. My initial plan was to help moms, and I saw a need, and then it just organically grew from that. Both my granddads, I found out and remembered that they were entrepreneurs and business owners. So I feel like it's kind of in my blood. I love talking business, and I love dealing with business. I actually was at a business meeting this morning. But as I saw this need, and as I slowly started my business, very small, I realized I could scale it. And I realized I wanted to help as many people as possible. So that's how I turned it into like a bigger business. And then I realized how much the moms were benefiting from the help and how much our nurses loved the job. And so that's what's kept me going on, continuing to grow and continuing to make it big. Honestly, it's more stress for me the bigger we get. But like I said, I see the need for the moms, and I see the joy that the nurses have with this job.
And that's so important, finding a business where you can see your passion and you can grow that. That's really what you want in life. And I'm happy that you were able to find that because a lot of people haven't. They end up going to college for something that they really don't even want to do. And I'm happy that you are able to find your passion in something that you love. What's something about running a business that surprised you?
So definitely managing people has been the biggest challenge. Ask any business owner. Most of the nurses that work with me are my friends and colleagues from the hospital, but you're dealing with all different kinds of personalities. And those nurses are representing me. They're representing the company name, which also affects other nurses. And so managing all that, we've had to come up with systems, which we now have like a very well-oiled machine. But I think my greatest challenge has been, but I also kind of like figuring it out as I go, but figuring out the systems, figuring out how all the moving parts work together to best benefit our clients and our team, um, and managing different personalities. Not everybody's the same, and there are days when it's wonderful, and there are days when it's really hard. And I think, what have I done? Look, why am I doing this? But that's with any business. It's going to have good and bad days, or any job.
I think we have a question here in the chat. It says,
Okay,
do you consult with other nurses to start businesses?
a great question. I have had people from all over the US reach out to me on Instagram, particularly, and ask, hey, I'm a nurse in Nebraska. I would love to start a business like yours. How do I do that? And so I will consult with them and kind of let them know some of the steps that I took to start my business. Because again, I want to help as many people as possible. So yes, I do business consults. They they are a price, because my time is very important to me. I have a lot of things going on. So if I do a business consult, it's usually a 30 or 45-minute business consult, and they'll ask me all their questions. And that's typically very helpful for them to kind of get the ball rolling in whatever state they're in.
If a teen wanted to do what you do one day, what would be the first step that you would advise for them to take to be able to do what you do?
Yeah. So first of all, before starting anything, I would say a lot of this has to do with your personality. You have to be very proactive and organized, and like you said, you need to have that passion. And the one thing that has gotten me through all the years of this, and just so teens will know on the front end, is having grit and tenacity, and knowing like there's going to be hard days. You have to just keep going no matter what. But after that, I would say take some business classes if you can. Job shadow. Like I had a friend the other day ask if her daughter could shadow me, and then get a mentor. So really find someone that can help you kind of go under their wing, shadow them, make sure that's even what you really want to do for a living, because it may sound like a certain thing. Then when you actually go shadow and do that, you're like, wait a minute, I don't want to do this. So classes, job shadow, and find a mentor.
Right. So you do run your own business, but I do want to ask you, did you ever receive any type of financial education while you were in school, particularly high school?
No. I did not, but I made some notes here. I did want to say I'm a Christian, and I have used a lot of my Christian principles throughout my business, and that has really helped me a lot. For starters, like saving, I save a lot of the money that I earn. I don't spend everything. I tithe, so I give money that we take in. I give it back to church. I give it to certain, like there's a place in Haiti that we help. It's a NICU with little preemie babies, so we give money to them. So I think it's really important to save some and then give some back to help other people. But besides that, I honestly never really took any financial classes per se.
What financial skills do you use for your business that you would advise teens should start learning now?
hmm Um, when I was growing up, we did not have the internet. Not just on old, but y'all have the internet. I'm sure you can find a million business classes. There are so many things you can get online and learn. And so I would take just some basic investing, financial business classes. And again, the two things like I will always say is make sure you're saving and make sure you're tithing or giving some away to others. That will come back 100-fold in your life. Um, and then another thing, I know not everybody can do this with their business. For example, like we don't have a building. I work out of my home. We go into people's homes. So I don't really have a lot of overhead. Like I don't have to pay for a building. I don't have to pay for trucks or something like that. We don't have a lot of overhead. But I've never borrowed a penny from anybody. I've never taken out a business loan. So if there's a way that a business owner can do that and not owe anybody anything, it takes the stress away from that piece of owning your business.
Yes, I definitely love the fact that you brought up tithing. I think a lot of people forget that you do have to give back to God, because whatever you put out into the world will come back to you. Even if it doesn't come back to you now, it'll come back to you in the kingdom.
Right.
So that's very, very important as well. And a lot of people don't actually know about that. I'm so glad that I grew up learning about tithing, but a lot of people don't know that they're supposed to tithe.
Right.
But I know that we are closing, and there's one more question in the chat. Do you think that AI will affect your profession?
I am thankful in that I don't think it will, because our moms love having a human being in their house to help them. So thankfully, I feel like we'll dodge that. Now, I do know that we do newborn education classes, so there may be some things that the moms can look up on AI, but there's still that connection and that warmth that people love in having an actual human with them teaching them. So I don't think it will affect us too much, thankfully. So that's great.
That's great. Is there anything else you would like to tell us before we close out?
Let's see here. Yeah, I do. What's so funny is I never remember ever wanting to be a nurse growing up or through high school. In high school, we even had this class where you could like go to the hospital. I was like, that is not, I have no interest in that. And I actually randomly chose nursing in college. Like I was like, okay, nursing. And then the rest is history. Well, a few years ago, I found this piece of paper in my attic. And it was from when I was like 8 years old, and I had handwritten this little thing, and it said, "When I grow up, I want to be," and it said a baby nurse, and it said, "God's plan is the best plan." I'll show it to you sometime. I'll send you a picture. God's plan is the best plan. I want to be a baby nurse and a delivery room helper, and that's exactly what I've done. So my point in all this is saying is like God has a plan for each one of you. I had no idea I'd ever do any of this, but here I am, and God knew, before I was even born, that this is what I would be put on this earth to do. So just know that He has a plan for you. Follow His will for your life, and it will all work out, even on the hard days.
Hey man, that's definitely a word. You took me to church because that is so full circle. Like you saying that from a child, and then you didn't even know that's what you wanted to do, and then you so happen to pick the biggest passion in your life. That is God given.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody has that opportunity. And so that warms my heart that you were able to find your passion and God led you through the path that you wanted.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for joining the podcast. I think that's the end. I don't think we have any more questions. So I will see you later.
Thank you so much, Reagan.
Bye.
I'm honored you had me. Have a great day.